Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com, and little Coco Chanel is here because she loves the NCIS like we do.
And so we are here to discuss NCIS Season 17, Episode 4, entitled Someone Else's Shoes. This is, I would say, a different sort of episode than what we've had for most of the season. It probably calls for a different sort of review. There's not as much to discuss this time around when it comes to long-term story arcs or Ziva, though Ziva's name was at least mentioned in the episode. But we will go through all of this, and before we do anything else, though, we just want to mention here at the start, we've been spending a little bit of time trying to find some information on Cody James Reedy, who had the dedication. I know Jessica has been looking for that. So if we have more information or if we find something more, Jess has an article on the site, and we'll have a link to that in the description below. But before we continue, if you do enjoy this discussion, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other updates that we have coming your way. Okay, so I know we're going to talk about some heavy stuff in this video. Let's start, though, with a little bit of lightheartedness. Everybody needs a smile. It's been a long day for a lot of people out there. NCIS always gives us the levity. Could you watch a full show out of just Evidence Man, who seems about 8 feet tall?
Yeah, he was great. That is something that I really like about NCIS, same as you. Just there's a really nice balance in the show with a little bit of humor and, of course, some heavier topics as people are getting killed on this show. So, Evidence Man, I can't remember his name, sorry, Evidence Guy. If you come back, I'm all for that. I really liked him. He was interesting, sort of that creepy guy in the basement, but then Torres was like, yeah, I kind of like him. Look, I found his list of how he eats, his nutrition list. He was a cool little character. I liked him.
Yeah, I think the fact that Evidence Man was apparently jacked, made it so much more interesting to me, because I like to think when he's down there with no friends by himself, that he's probably doing various push-ups and sit-ups, and it's you're alone all day, bro. You gotta, work the triceps.
And nobody's watching you. I'm really glad that they decided to do something where Vance was putting his foot down and that there was some sort of punishment for what they did. It wasn't just, oh, well, next case, there are no consequences. Lying to Vance is a problem, and it was definitely a good punishment. It was a fun punishment for us to watch, probably not so fun for them. That doll, that was a little creepy. Why is a doll programmed to say I'm sorry? That was so weird, but so great. I loved it.
That's just one of the writers was just I have this really good idea to give people nightmares after they watch this episode.
There was a lot of stuff in this episode that gave me nightmares, because besides that creepy doll, they talked a little bit about the tryptophobia going on with the holes in the foot. I have some of that going on. I can't look at holes or holes with patterns of holes or anything like that. So as far as seeing dead people, I've seen dead people. I'm a funeral director. I've seen a lot of stuff. I have not seen some stuff like that. This show has definitely brought in some stuff that I haven't seen and I've seen a lot, so it takes a little bit to kind of throw me around, but holes in the foot, that's a thing.
Okay, so the thing is, holes in the foot, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with the holes in the foot. I don't have that particular phobia. Trust me, I have a lot of other phobias which we can document on another day, but not that one. This was a weird episode, though. You have the creepy doll, you have the creepy dude in the room with the creepy doll, which, by the way, I do like it that it sort of mirrors real office buildings where you have that weird guy that everybody talks about, or everybody's got their own little inside jokes. I feel like NCIS actually cultivates a really good office environment.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of the time. But then, yes, you also have the almost straight out of Sleepy Hollow with the horse coming in, except this time it wasn't the headless horseman. It was sort of like the foot and nothing else horseman, where you just got the one body part.
Yeah, well, 2.
Oh, yeah, 2. Well, I forget how many body parts were there at a certain point.
This sort of had, again, that sort of feeling of like a Criminal Minds, where you had dismembered body pieces, you had hands that were pointing at evidence. There was a real creep factor with this.
Let me ask you this. Favorite Jimmy Palmer nickname? Is it Harry Potter or is it the Chosen One?
It's the Chosen One. I love Jimmy. Anyone who's been watching the channel or reading any of my articles, I love him.
But he could be Harry Potter. He's got the... I say this as a man with glasses who at one point dressed as Harry Potter, even though, for all of you who do know Harry Potter, clearly I am a Ravenclaw and not a Gryffindor, but I'll just leave it at that. And I go with the Chosen One still, though, because...
I go with the Chosen One.
Yeah.
Because he is.
Yeah, that was funny. Okay, so there was a little bit of humor in there, and I think there needed to be a little bit of humor in this episode, because otherwise it would have been, I think, too weighty. But
yeah, there was a lot of really serious, important messages and things, and shining a light on something that's really serious.
And I think the thing is, at NCIS, they do this a few times a season, so it's not like it is some mind-boggling surprise that they did what feels like mostly a standalone episode tonight.
Yeah. And it's been a while since they've really done sort of a standalone episode. Last season they did, of course, some, but it was a lot more serialized than just purely procedural. Here's your case, you're in, you're out, you have your comfort food TV, and then you're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, and typically NCIS shows in particular, I find that they tend to do a lot of these sort of standalone episodes in October before you get around to the November sweeps. I mean, I just talked on the channel this past Sunday about an NCIS Los Angeles episode that not only was standalone, but it was also shot earlier this year, and it just randomly had Eric Beale in it, even though he was told he was off somewhere else in the prior episode with no explanation. So this is where they put a lot of the standalones, but you know, the larger meaning here is certainly about the homeless veteran crisis, and you know, this is something that is serious. This is something that is going on, and NCIS is really the perfect show to sort of chronicle a lot of this stuff. I mean, we're talking about a show featuring a lot of military characters that is in a very military place, like Washington, D.C. I know NCIS LA and New Orleans, they do tackle this stuff somewhat, but, you know, there's something about the setting of D.C. itself that kind of centralizes a lot of it, and you know, it's difficult to talk that much about the case itself, because a lot of it is sort of, okay, we're going to shine a light on this.
Yeah, because for me, it was less about the case and more about the message and shining a light on this problem that is happening, so that we are out there having this conversation that this is a problem and that this is something that maybe this show has been able to reach people out there to be, at the very minimum, more aware of it, and hopefully getting more involved, finding ways to help, all of that type of stuff. It's more about the message.
Yeah, and I think CBS in general, they like to be this sort of aspirational network in a lot of ways, where they want the world to play out sort of in the way in which it does on TV at times. Because like Madam Secretary, very positive politics sort of show, where you see people getting things done. And in NCIS night, you saw briefly Congress all coming together and getting things done. I mean, I don't know if they had the foresight of, okay, let's schedule this episode on the same night that there is a presidential debate going on, and maybe that is why NCIS on some level decided to do kind of a standalone episode.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah, in case more people were off watching the debates or something else. But I think it is sort of, here's an example of government working together for a good thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the sort of big takeaways out there, but I think for probably all veterans out there, you know, we of course appreciate your service. For everyone else out there who has known homeless veterans, I think this episode really does its job to shine a light on them and to remind everyone, you know, these people, they're not forgotten, they have a voice, they have a story, and it's a good thing that NCIS decided to tell it, amidst, of course, creepy evidence guy and everything else.
And the creepy doll and the tryptophobia and all that other stuff that was going on. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of movement going on, say, like the SLOANE and Gibbs thing. There was a moment where they were talking and she gave him her glasses and stuff like that. But after such a big last episode with the painting and the do you have something you need to tell me sort of thing, like absolutely nothing in this episode, not even a whisper of it.
Yeah, and I think it's the same with Bishop and Torres. We've gotten a lot of sort of like little hints that something could be coming, that we are having an exploration of feelings. I mean, we may talk more about Bishop and Torres in an upcoming video or so, but
I think there's some stuff to discuss there.
Yeah, it's just for this episode, not really a whole lot. No. So, this isn't the most jam-packed NCIS video. I mean, it is shorter in terms of the major talking points, but I thought, it's still important to come on here and reflect a little bit about what the episode means, talk about some moments that we liked. We will be back, though, to preview what is coming in episode 5, because this episode looks like, even if it is kind of standalone in nature, which I don't know if it is, it looks like this one may actually be pretty memorable and pretty crazy. So, for now, though, let us know in the comments what you thought about NCIS 17 Episode 4, and if you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the CARTERMATT store, and we'll see you here next time.